110. The second point is the victorious life. 8. 37. Verse 37 teaches us that our victory comes from Christ's love for us, demonstrated on the cross of Calvary. But in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. Neither the difficulties nor the disasters that Christians experience in the world are not intended to separate us from Christ but bring us closer to him. All these things evils are absolutely powerless to overcome those who are in Christ Jesus. All these evils cannot prevent a Christian from being a glorious conqueror. Despite these things, we can always be overcomers through Christ. You probably noticed that the Bible does not simply say that we conquer, but we are more than conquerors. The scales are tilted on our side. Victory is certain. Our triumph will not be snatched from the lion's mouth. Our victory corresponds to the victory of Christ on the cross. We do not simply hinder the work of these enemies, but through the cross we actually make them our allies. We overcome these enemies with the purpose that they will be friends and helpers in our growth in the image of Christ. Note also that victory is not won there in heaven but here in this life. All the affliction that we patiently endure makes us stronger and brings us closer to Jesus Christ. How do you know if you beat him or not? If the evils of life darken the light of Jesus' face and make me less desirous of him, of his love, then these enemies have defeated me. But when the enemies of the spiritual life push us to Christ and bring us closer to him in the conscious possession of his sweet and unchanging love for it, then the enemies have become our allies and so we have overcome them. Does the world help me come closer to Christ? Yes, yes, I have beaten him. Has the world bound me in my following of Christ? So the world has defeated me. The direction of your sails and the firmness of your helm determine whether the winds will carry you to a shelter of rest or blow you out into a sea of discouragement. The words "he who loved us" in the original language point to a fact. Such as the occasion of love. The love of Christ helps us overcome because in death he conquered sin and in the resurrection he conquered death. If we take the power of Christ's death and resurrection as ours in every circumstance, we will discover what conquerors we are, even when we are in the midst of enemies. Ps. 23. 5. Our victory is through the path that he made with his life, death and resurrection. If we die to ourselves, to the old man, and live for Christ, we will be more than conquerors. This statement that we are more than conquerors through him who loved us has its origins in one of the greatest statements of faith in God ever written. In verses 38 and 39 the apostles' confidence in God's faithfulness is expressed in stronger language. Paul describes supernatural enemies as powerless because they cannot thwart God's purpose and separate us from the love of those who are in Christ. The first point was the natural enemies of life. The second point was the victorious life, and the third point is supernatural enemies. The conclusion stated in verse 38. For I am sure that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers,